Good afternoon. I trust that you are well. 1 minute to the top of the hour. Time to bring you up to speed with the latest news in the world of news from across all the 47 counties and even beyond the Kenyan borders. But first, the highlights. KCSE theory exams kick off across the country as young Kenyans strike to secure their academic future amid dissatisfaction with the current higher education funding model.
And any person, therefore, who is found compromising the integrity of the examination will be dealt with within the law.
The Supreme Court of Kenya marks 12 years since its founding as judges contemplate the impact of this court and the future of justice in Kenya. Hashim Dagane Mohammed, the main suspect in the infamous Eastleigh murders, will spend the next 21 days in police cells to allow for investigations to continue. Once again, welcome to the broadcast. This is TV47 News Now. My name is Moige William, here with the latest. Now, starting off, Hashim Dagane Mohammed, the main suspect in the murders of Martha, her daughter and her 12-year-old niece, will spend the next 21 days in police cells after a Makadara Law Court granted a miscellaneous application by the Directorate of Criminal Investigations. The DCI had submitted to the court that the suspect is a flight risk as Hashim's nationality is in question, even as they work round the clock to gather more evidence into the brutal killings of the three women.
Magacaygu waa Abdi, and I am the father of the girls and the husband of Dahabo. I just want to say thank you to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala who make it easy for us to apprehend this killer. This is ongoing investigation, so I don't want to say much about it. I just want to say special thanks to the detectives who worked tirelessly day and night to capture this killer. I also want to thank to the family member who worked day and night to capture this killer. As you can see, it's very devastating. Musaibu was my firstborn and Dahabo was my wife. And this has been a very hard time. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us a sabr for all my family. And I'm getting emotional at this time. I don't want to talk a lot about it, but may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us a peace in our heart and make it easy for us in the sorrow we are in at this time. And we are hoping for justice to be served, inshallah. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
I'll turn now to matters health, whereby the initiative promises vital support for maternal care improvement. Today marked the closing of the meeting of the National Obstetrics Point of Care ultrasound guidelines that will facilitate nurses, midwives and clinical officers to perform ultrasound screening even at community level, which they will help maternal care and reduce endometrial issues. Stakeholders have noted that the guidelines will be essential and will be a critical milestone in enabling flexible policy when rolling out portable ultrasound services. Cabinet Secretary, Ministry of Health, Dr. Deborah Baraza, said that the Ministry of Health is committed to expand access to obstetric point of care ultrasound, especially in the underserved arid areas. Prime Cabinet Secretary Musalia Mudavadi, on his part, urged the Ministry of Health to expedite their launch and implementation to ensure that this particular matter is launched.
The PCS in attendance.
This project has enabled us to produce the National Obstetrics Point of Care Ultrasound Guidelines that enables task sharing amongst nurses and midwives and other reproductive health cadres. This will help the services of ultrasound screening go down to community level where these important frontline healthcare workers are found. We believe that after the launch of these guidelines and the presentation of these guidelines, that they will go down to community level and county level led by the Council of Governors. We will be able to train, we'll be able to disseminate these guidelines, and we'll be able to reach our mothers and children down at community level.
And the Ministry of Health is committed to expanding access to obstetric point-of-care ultrasound, especially in the underserved areas. Over the past years, we developed the National Obstetric Point-of-Care Ultrasound Guidelines 2024, and this aligns with our national health policy and reflects our commitment to high-quality care for all Kenyans. These guidelines standardize obstetric.
We also need to address the other challenges identified during the stakeholder engagement process. These include lack of ultrasound equipment in local clinics, the cost of such equipment, and support infrastructure, including electricity and internet connectivity. Further, we need a comprehensive policy and regulatory framework for the POCUS accreditation and quality assurance to facilitate effective uptake and utilization.
In other news, Education Cabinet Secretary Julius Migos has issued a stern warning against exam malpractice as he flagged off the distribution of the 2024 KCSE papers earlier today in Nairobi. This year's exams introduce increased security protocols, even as the Ministry of Education aims towards having 0 cases of exam irregularities. Now, in its third week, the 2024 KCSE exam officially began on October 22nd. Today's sessions kicked off with candidates tackling English functional skills at 8:30 in the morning, followed by Chemistry Paper 1. This year's exams are being administered at 10,755 centers across the country, marking a record-breaking participation of 965,501 candidates, up from last year's 903,138. As part of the security enhancements, the Ministry of Interior has indicated that extra security measures have been put in place in regions prone to insecurity, with candidates in these areas transferred to safer locations to ensure they can complete their exams without disruption.
The ministry confirms that all examination papers are secure and in safe custody, and hence there are no examination materials in circulations as purported. As you've established, all the materials are securely stored here. And that is happening across all the centers in the country. Candidates should therefore continue to make all their final necessary preparations, and any person therefore who is found compromising the integrity of the examination will be dealt with within the law. I also wish to remind the personnel involved in the administration of the examination and teachers on their professional call and urge them to desist from engaging in any activity that may be against the regulations of proper administration of examination. Appropriate legal action will be taken if they are found to abet examination malpractices.
Kule katika Tana River na kwingine kote ambao kulikuwa na shida yoyote ya security, ministry ilipanga kuondoa wale wanafanya examinations, wale learners wakapelekwa kwa centers za security agents like GSU camps. Tukaweka pale center ya kufanya examination. So arrangements have been done to ensure that those students are doing the examinations, including those ones who are affected by floods. So there has been a structure where we have moved them to areas that they are capable of taking the exams, and that has been taken care of.
The Supreme Court has held a 3-day conference to commemorate 12 years since its founding. During this time, the court has significantly shaped the nation's judicial landscape, helping to uphold the Constitution and ensure that justice is served. Nevertheless, the purpose of this conference, which includes renowned judges, legal scholars, practitioners, and other important stakeholders nationwide, is to honor their accomplishments, reflect on their journey, and explore the future of justice in Kenya.
Today morning we had a conversation with the Chief Justice and the leadership of the judiciary on some of the aspects of modernization of our judiciary. And I must say with a lot of clarity that the judiciary has been phenomenal in its application of technology to deliver on its mandate. They have done a very commendable job.
In the discharge of our mandates, we do not get drawn into making political decisions. We look for legal solutions for political disputes. The judges are politically neutral and are concerned with only determining the legal and evidential issues before the court, irrespective of their political ramifications.
Hear or learn what the Supreme Court and the other superior courts will tell us about, beyond public interest, whether there are other higher interests. Are there other higher values, primordial, existential, fundamental principles which are crucial to the existence of Kenya? Because the public can be mobilized or can mobilize itself to do the wrong things that threaten the existence of the state. And therefore, that is the next frontier of jurisprudence I would invite us to start thinking about, and the Supreme Court can help us in that regard.
Now back to the national examination exercise. The KCSE in Kilifi County has so far continued without any irregularities reported, with one student taking his examinations at Kilifi General Hospital due to health reasons. Speaking at the opening of the exams in Kaloleni, the Director General of the Ministry of Education, Elias Abdi Jilau, urged security agencies and exam administrators to remain vigilant to prevent any cases of fraud.
Center managers.
So far, so good. The examination has not had any hitches, any challenge. But we have just requested our examination center managers, the security personnel, the education officers here in Kilifi County to put their best foot forward as we man the 2024 KCSE examination. Ours is to wish them well and ensure that the exam is done successfully. And the message remains the same. To all our personnel, both from the Ministry of Interior, the security team, our education officers, the message remains the same all over the country, that we should be able to do our exams as expected, so that the exams are reliable, credible, and as expected.
KCSE exams began today in Bungoma County, where 47,725 students are taking the examinations. Speaking at the opening of the exams, Bungoma County Education Director Pius Ngoma has said that they are well prepared to ensure the activity is not subject to any challenges, with security already heightened. Further revealing that 2 students had been hospitalized, warning those intending to commit exam theft that they will face legal action.
And for today, we have 47,725 candidates taking exams. Out of this number, in our secondary schools, we have 43,443. One thing to note is that our girls are more than our boys. Our girls are 22,150, while our boys are 21,293. We also have our private candidates today, 282, sorry. That one gives us a total number of 47,725 candidates taking exams. We wish all our candidates the best, and our center managers have been briefed, as I've said, and we don't expect anything, and we are saying exams are secure from the container, and our center managers and members of public have been warned on any case of cheating in exams. So we don't hope for any other thing. Otherwise, we have some 2 candidates who have just been reported today to be in hospital, and our center managers are properly briefed on how to handle those cases. Otherwise, we wish all that are involved, plus our security, the best over this period.
And now let us shift gears to other news, where leaders from the East African Community countries have converged in Lokichogio town, northwest of Kenya, bordering South Sudan, in an aim of embracing peace talks between the communities of the Turkana of Kenya, Karamoja from Uganda, and the Topasas of South Sudan. The communities have agreed to bury their hostilities between each other while calling on the governments to confiscate illegal weapons. The meeting, which started in Moroto, Uganda, will end in Narus, South Sudan.
I think today marks a day where the Ateker community have chosen to come together. When I spoke to Lobong, Mheshimiwa Munyesia and myself and the other leadership, we said we must deal with criminals.
President Museveni is committed to make sure that our Karamojong move out of nomadism to part. And I want to assure you that this is not only happening up here, but it is this vision that we transform economically and socially.
Hivyo tulikuja kuwarudishia mambo ambayo walisema kwamba serikali hizi tatu ziweze kuchukua bunduki ambazo sio ya serikali, ambayo watu wetu wako nayo. Maana hizo mabunduki ndio zinaleta fujo, ndio inafanya watu waende kuiba ng'ombe, ndio inaua watu na kuharibu amani katika eneo hili.
Of these communities, because when one community disarms and another one does not, you make one that has disarmed vulnerable. So it is important that they do it together. The other recommendation is the need for the EAC to mobilize resources to support partner states in this process of boundary demarcation and delimitation.
Okay, and moving on. Last night, detectives have apprehended, or rather did apprehend, Hashim Dagane Mohamed, the suspect in the murder of a mother, her daughter, and her niece in Nairobi's Eastleigh estate. This as President William Ruto revealed plans for the formation of a special unit within the National Police Service to deal with gender-based violence cases amid a surge in reports of femicide incidents. President Ruto further cautioned that cases of femicide will be curbed if parents take a front row in offering guidance to their children. Tonight, at the custody of the Directorate of Criminal Investigations is Hashim Dagane Mohamed, a man believed to be behind the brutal murder of family members, a mother, daughter, and 12-year-old niece. Arrested on Sunday, the suspect is said to have been hiding in Eastleigh all along, according to an officer familiar with the investigations into the killing of Nusaiba Abdi, Amina Abdirashid, and Dahabo Daoud. With detectives burning the midnight oil to unravel the puzzle behind the brutal murders, President William Ruto has affirmed that his administration will deploy all necessary resources in curbing gender-based violence.
How can it be that our girls, the women of Kenya, that expect us to love them, that now they are dying in the hands of men?
Tuache kusema ati suluhisho ni kuambia wasichana wakutane na mtu wa aina hii ama hii. Do not blame the victim. There is no justification of killing a female or anybody in our country.
However, the head of state had a clarion call to the society.
As parents, as Kenyans, we must also deal with the moral issue. Let us not just finger point as to who should do what. We should also begin by saying, what will I do as a citizen?
Elsewhere, in Mathare, the Coalition for Grassroots Human Rights Defenders Kenya held a peaceful protest calling on the national government to declare femicide a national disaster.
You can't be telling us that as a government we need to be careful and not talk to strangers. Who are strangers? Yes. Most of these cases of femicide, it's being perpetrated by intimate partner violence.
We raise concern that security apparatus are not taking this matter with the seriousness it deserves. This is evident by the casual manner in which femicide is being addressed and the open contradictions between two arms of security mandated to handle the matters.
Recently, in a statement, Deputy Inspector General of Police Eliud Lagat acknowledged a disturbing increase in murder and manslaughter cases over the past 2 years. figures released by the National Police Service indicate that at least 97 femicide cases were reported in the last 3 months, the police describing the rising of femicide cases in the country as alarming. Mwegi William, TV47. All right, it is a report I had compiled earlier on. Still on matters, investigators and DCI. The DCI detectives have established the identity of the suspect in the murder of Wells Fargo Human Resource Manager Willis Ateker. DCI officers say they identified the home of George Oduor, who has been involved in numerous cases of robbery with violence in the Nyanza region. His body is at the Jaramogi Oginga Odinga Teaching and Referral Hospital. Detectives handling the homicide have established the true identity and roots, uncovering the man wanted in numerous violent robberies in the region. The discovery of Oduor's home, which is at Rai area in Nyamasaria in Kisumu County, followed identification of his body preserved at JOOTRH mortuary by his father, who further clarified that his son's real name was Robert Wakolo Okoth and his alias name George Oduor Okoth and Kim, based on who asked, were only used to cover his criminal trail and escape police dragnets. A national ID retrieved from police exhibit store for wanted criminals earlier seized during a security operation, and a report obtained from the National Registration Bureau confirmed the father's claim. Armed with the discovery, the DCI Crime Research and Intelligence Bureau detectives who had been profiling an unidentified robbery suspect linked the 34-year-old to a series of violent attacks, including the January 27, 2024 fatal shooting of Grace Awino Odero, who was an M-Pesa attendant at Kibuye Market near Hekima School in Lolwe. In the incident, one suspect was arrested and an AK-47 rifle earlier robbed from a Ugandan police officer recovered. Also recovered was a Toyota Axio registration number KDL 301P used by suspects in the robbery. Robert Wakolo, however, managed to get away. In yet another incident on that May 2024, detectives working on intelligence leads had raided Robert's home in Nyamasaria, recovering another AK-47 rifle, a magazine and 36 live rounds of ammunition. Although Robert slipped away again, his 17-year-old younger brother and suspected accomplice was arrested and charged. Robert Okolo was also wanted by Kondele police for robbery with violence and possessing a magazine and ammunitions. This follows the pursuit and subsequent gunning down of murder suspect initially identified as George Oduor Okoth, and from whom 2 firearms were recovered and belonging to the late Willis Ateker.